Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki? Which one's right? What if they're both wrong? Here's the good, the bad, the ugly, and the new way to look at it. In this video, we're going to talk about it because if you don't get their context, you're going to bring the wrong tool to the project. All right? Welcome to this episode of the Affluent Entrepreneur Show, and I look forward to seeing you in the episode. Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki? Both are phenomenal commentators and people in the financial space. Question is, who should you listen to? Which one's right? You know, what happens if neither one is right? Well, let's just talk about them because I want to give you perspective. Now, this isn't about bashing them. This isn't about, and I have respect for them, okay? But I want you to be able to look at it through the right set of goggles, the right set of glasses, if you will, and do that. I have my opinions, and some of it might come out, and some might not. I don't know. But if we look at them, let's just take Dave Ramsey, for instance. Let's just understand what he is all about. Dave, his story is he came from bankruptcy, okay? His primary focus is all about money management, if you will. It's about figuring out what you're going to do with your money, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, and it's really tied to your ability to eliminate debt. So in his world, debt elimination, in his world, debt is the absolute devil, okay? And so he wants to eliminate debt at all costs and everything. And he has a system and a process. Now, let's be real. He has helped millions of people get out of debt. He's helped millions of people get on solid footing. He's helped millions of people. He's done some phenomenal work. Now, I've done some other things where I've explained, the way I explain how to get out of debt is slightly different than Dave Ramsey. I don't completely agree with him, but his process has worked for so many people. And he does something called the 7 baby steps. And what he does, and I'll put him down for you. So if we look at it, the 7 baby steps, step number 1 is to get $1,000 into an account. What he's trying to do here is to make sure that you are in a situation where you don't need to use debt. You don't need to use a credit card if there's an emergency. Now, this is not your emergency fund. This is just a little bit of a cushion to get you over the hump while you're building your emergency fund. Now, step two is to pay off all debt, except the house. So he wants you to pay off all consumer debt. Credit cards paid off, and he walks through the snowball method of paying off debt. I'm going to invite you to go to episode 40 of my show if you want to figure out how to do debt the right way. I walk through the affluence way, where I give you some options on how to do it, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So he wants you to pay off all debt except for the mortgage. Now, step three is where you build your emergency fund. And he says 3 to 6 months. I actually think that's light, especially given what we've been through. I think it's something we need to consider and look at. But considering that most people in the U.S. do not have enough and could not afford to pay $1,000 unplanned expense, 3 to 6 months is a good deal. Let's get it done, all right? So then he says step 4 is about investing. He wants you to invest 15% of your income, okay? Max to retirement, that kind of thing. Then step 5, you can fund the college for the kids. Step 6 and 7 is paying off the mortgage. And baby step 7 is to build wealth and give. Okay? Those are his 7 baby steps. And this is what he does. This is what he has done for many, many years. He came from bankruptcy. He learned how to get himself back on his feet, to do things a different way, and that's what he's teaching. He's done some phenomenal work. But his focus is to get out of debt. Well, let's contrast that with Robert Kiyosaki. And so Robert Kiyosaki, if we look at him, his story comes out from his book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In the Rich Dad, Poor Dad scenario, he told the story that he had a rich dad and he had a poor dad. His dad was the poor dad. His dad was a teacher, a wage earner, and everything. And then there was a friend's dad that was a rich dad. Now, there's question whether that's just a story for the book or if it's real, but that's not what this is about, okay? There's some principles that he teaches that are really good and come out of it. And so what he also looked at things, and his focus is really around asset acquisition. You know, if Dave Ramsey is thinking about, let's get you out of debt. In fact, Dave says, if you want to buy a property after your home, you're going to do it in cash. Okay, so he doesn't want any debt whatsoever. You would see that Robert Kiyosaki would say, no, you don't do it in cash. You do it with other people's money and debt. Robert Kiyosaki loves leverage. He wants to use other people's money, okay? But leverage comes with risk. Leverage comes with risk because if you can't make the payments for whatever reason, then you have a problem, okay? Now, and he created something, if Dave Ramsey has the baby steps, he created something called the cash flow quadrants. Okay, so let's just walk through his cash flow quadrants so you start to understand this. And I'm not teaching it, I'm just giving you the rundown of what it is. And so he says there's an E quadrant. This is for employee. And this is for someone, basically this is the kind of person that you have a job, okay? You're not leveraging your time. You're putting time in to get a paycheck, and that's it. Now, he's got some very strong opinions around this, and sometimes I find them offensive, okay? I'm sorry. My dad was a wage earner, okay? My dad did all right, okay? Were we a wealthy family? No. But for him to stand on stage and call people like that losers, I'm sorry. I got a problem with that. Y'all are working for a salary. Man, do your work. And if you love your work, here's the thing. Dave Ramsey did a study of millionaires, 10,000 millionaires, and the majority of them were wage earners. The majority of them were investors. The majority of them used their employer plans, their 401ks and investments and everything to become millionaires. So I want to be really clear about this, that quadrant is employee, and you're working for a job. Then you have the S quadrant, which is self-employed. Okay, this is your contractors, your gig workers. It relies on you. And again, in this case, now instead of having a job, you own a job. You own the thing, but it's a job. You're working for your salary. You're working for there's very little leverage of your time. And so in his eyes, this stuff you want to stay away from on this side. He wants you to be on the right side of the quadrants, the cash flow quadrants. In the cash flow quadrants on the right side, what you have here is business. Okay, actually, he puts it. Let me do it like he does it. He puts it up here. Okay, you have the business. This is where you actually are bringing people in. You're leveraging, if you will. You're leveraging people for money. In other words, you've got a team. It's not relying on you. So now you can walk away from the business and the business still earning. And so you've got these business interests that are making money. And so this is why he likes it, because there's leverage there, not debt leverage, but in this case, it's people leverage to make that happen. And then the last quadrant is the I quadrant. This is the investor. This is where you own investments. So if we look at each of them, the E quadrant, you own a job. You have a job. The S quadrant, self-employed, you own your job because you own the company. The B quadrant, you own a system. There's a system that allows it to generate the income. And the I quadrant, you own investments. And your money is the thing that's doing the work for you. So who's right? Well, let's take a look. Let's just compare them a little closer for a moment, okay? Because if we look at Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey, one, Robert Kiyosaki says, I want you to get into debt. I want you to use other people's money. So he's enticing and encouraging people to take on debt, leverage, which in some cases, this is another place where I disagree with Dave Ramsey. I don't think all debt's the devil. I think that we can use it effectively. I call it productive debt, but we have to be careful because all debt costs and all debt stresses, okay? Dave Ramsey, on the other hand, says, get out of debt at all costs. Debt is the devil, eliminate it. When you look at the investments with Robert Kiyosaki, he's focused on real estate, cryptos, gold, and things like that. Hard assets, tangible assets that you can grab a hold of. Dave Ramsey, it's stocks, it's mutual funds, it's ETFs, and it's index funds. He's a stock market investor. And again, Robert Kiyosaki has some strong opinions about stocks and everything, but the fact of the matter is that he can't argue with the results. There are a lot of millionaires that made it in stocks. There are a lot of millions that made it in real estate. There's a lot of millionaires that made it in crypto. We'll see if they keep it. All right. Another topic for another time. So point being is that I had a conversation with one of my high-level coaching clients that I work with on a regular basis, and she brought this up, and I said, it's just asset allocation. It's just another asset class. Which one fits for you? Real estate? Stocks? How do you want to go about it? What fits your lifestyle? When we talk about the 5 incomes and the different ways to create investment income, there isn't one set way to do it. I want to be really clear about that. Then if we look at how they look at things, Robert Kiyosaki is primarily wanting people to own a business and business interests, whereas Dave is really focused on wage earners and employees, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And so here's the thing. If I was to look at these, neither one is right all of the time. Neither one is right all the time. They are looking at things in a different perspective from a different angle. They're looking at things for different people. I look at, I've got an identical twin brother. He doesn't really want to own a business. He's not entrepreneurial. He likes being a top-level executive in a business. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I want you to be really clear about, do you want to own a business? Great. Business owner, maybe, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants might have some meaning to you. But it doesn't mean that if you don't want a business and that you're a wage earner, that you're a loser, like he calls it. Okay? By the same token, I don't think Dave Ramsey's right all the time. If you're out of debt and then you want to be focused on wealth creation, there's some things that I think are missing that we need to do. So here's the kind of the lay of the land then. It depends on where you are and what your vision is. The fact of the matter is that some people are just not made out to want to do real estate. I'll give you for instance. I own some real estate, but I don't own a lot. And the reason for it is I don't want to be a landlord. I have no desire to be a landlord. Okay? No desire. I don't get a call at 11 o'clock at night and they go, hey, landlord, toilet's clogged. Great. Go get a freaking plunger. Leave me alone. Let me sleep. Huh? I don't want that. Some people love it. I've got clients that I work with that have a ton of real estate. Now, does that mean I don't have anything in real estate? No, I do. But I also invest in real estate through other vehicles where I'm not the landlord. So you can get real estate, but I'm not necessarily the landlord. I've been an entrepreneur basically the majority of my life. So that's in my blood. I'm on the business owner side, but I've got kind of the Dave Ramsey element to me, and I've got the Robert Kiyosaki element to me. So I think that you can take good from all of them, and it is not either or, but is what fits your lifestyle, where you are in your life. If you've got a ton of debt and you're trying to get out of debt, Dave Ramsey's going to help. Or episode 40 of the Affluent Entrepreneur Show is going to help. If you're trying to figure out how to build wealth, then there's some other ways to do it. So bottom line is that when we talk about Robert Kiyosaki or Dave Ramsey, neither one is right all the time. And neither one fits for everyone. And I think that it's important for us to not blindly follow these folks. And I'm going to invite you to check out their past, check out their history, check out their story, check out their journey and say, does this make sense for me? Does this person have the experience that I need to educate me and move me forward? Or is this just, what's the right fit? Do they have the personality? Do they have the values? Do they have those things? When we start talking about following so-called gurus, advisors, or mentors, is there a mesh in values? Is there a mesh in methodology? Can you communicate? Do they resonate with you? Now, their principles can be sound. I don't agree with some of Kiyosaki stuff, and I don't agree with some of Ramsey's stuff. That's fine. I have my way. It's worked for me. It's worked for tons of my clients. It's worked for my son and my daughter-in-law. They're 31 and 29 with a multi-million-dollar net worth. So the reality is that I don't want you to just say, well, I'm either following one or the other. I want you to study it all and take what works based on where you are in your life, what your needs are, and what your level is. I hope that helps, all right? And in the meantime, if there's something that I can do to help, let me know. Couple things. I want you to, if you have debt, I want you to go to episode 40 of the Affluent Entrepreneur Show. Go through the process. I walk you through the process of exactly how you can get out of debt, and I give you a little more options, a little more flexibility than you might get with some people like Dave Ramsey and all that. And if you're sitting there trying to figure out, what do I do with my cash? What do I do? I want you to look at episode 24, because I talk about the wealth priority ladder to help you do that there. So, and I look forward to it. If you've got questions or anything that comes up, do me a favor, post it, send me a DM, let me know. We'll get it on a video. We'll get it out there and we'll get you moving forward. I want to make sure that this year is a breakthrough year for you financially. We're going to change your financial destiny. Financial independence is your birthright. Let's give you the process, the pathway to claim it the right way. And until I see you in another video, always, always strive to live a life that outlives you. Cheers.